Okay, good evening to the folks in Europe. Good morning to North America. Today, February 10th, 2022. I'm very delighted to have my colleague, Michaël Azerhad, or Michael, join me. We are going to be talking here. I think it's going to be very interesting because we are preparing for the second TDD conference, and Michael will be one of the featured speakers. So the topic is TDD, and we already chatted a little bit, but really it seems like the day is coming when this is going to become mainstream. So far, we're still seeing it kind of being on the fringes. People are saying, yeah, that's a great idea, but maybe later. And why don't you maybe talk us a little bit about your journey? You've already been doing this for like a number of years. And where do you see this thing going? And how do you envision what should we do in this next TDD conference to push it? And I would like to see it also be in the curriculum in the universities and colleges, and also in the job openings. When you say I'm looking for developers, TDD must always be there, in my opinion.
Yes, in my opinion.
Yes. And you don't see it often, right? You see just looking for front-end developer, full stack, where is even. Yeah. Okay, so over to you, Michael. Thank you.
Yes. So nowadays, I notice a very a huge jump of TDD practitioners, and about people that know they do something wrong. There is something wrong in companies. Okay, they are just aware nowadays about the fact that the way the teams are evolving is wrong. Is something wrong because of accidental complexity. They experience a lot of accidental complexity, and we are in an era where the agility is about is in every mind, okay, of managers, etc., and it's associated to speed. And I don't like this association, but managers do it, and the developers start experiencing a rush, a continual rush, and they are stuck in the 7th sprint, and they can't continue, and they say, what is wrong? What is wrong? So they attack. Okay, it is about the functional people, the business people. We don't have the good spec. It is a reason why we can't do a better job, and there is a lot of bugs, but they just start to understand it's not the real reason. The real reason it is that they can't, they couldn't compare the wasting of time while debugging and the wasting of time while writing tests. And a lot of people think that debug it's coding. We can't avoid debugging. And when I started to show to some colleagues, to some friends, a way to not debug, a way to be guided, driven completely by a computer that are very smarter than me. They can grab any mistakes I'm doing right now. When they are experiencing and they are looking at, they're watching a demonstration of that, they are frustrating. The main feedback I have is I really wish I had to know I knew you before, because they start thinking that the people lied to them. Unit test is not what it is. Debugging is not compulsory, etc. And they start thinking that TDD is not about testing. And when people understand that, I remember I tweeted on Twitter to Uncle Bob. I tweeted and I said it. Look, watch that video about Chan Cooper, and tell me what you think. The video was named what is wrong with TDD? What is wrong with TDD? A very good video that are changing a lot of minds of senior developers. Here, his answer was, Uncle Bob, there are more meats in this video than in a Brazilian barbecue. And watch it and read it and take note about every word. Because when you start thinking that what you learned at school was not efficient, was wrong, senior developers start becoming junior developers. And every people start becoming junior developers. So I noticed that, and for example, I mounted a Slack, okay, called Welcome, like my company, just a coincidence, and a lot of people start to smile. A lot of the main smiley on the Slack is smile, because every time there are an answer podcast, I like to for example to explain some concepts in audio, because there are more expressions that in writing. People like that, other people doing the same, and every people progress. So we come in an era where TDD is started to be mainstream in the theory world. In the practice, it is not there today, because in most companies, in French, for example, managers don't want to understand that practice or craftsmanship improve the productivity of developer. They can't believe it. The reason, they are right. They are right. Why? Because a lot of craftsman people today are craftsmen that are just blah blah. A lot of just blah blah. With TDD, you can do that. You can do that. Okay, show me one project you have been doing. No, I just know the theory, but TDD, it's very easy to learn. It's like chess. Chess, you can learn to move to move the items. It's very easy to have the feeling of chess and become a chess master. It's another world. And TDD is the same thing. You can understand red, green, refactor, okay, but how do you manage to get a legacy system and transforming into a luxurious application? And it's a challenge, and a lot of developers are not ready for that challenge. It consumes so energy, it consumes books, it consumes language. French people don't want a lot of but don't want to read English. I know a lot of people, and I think other countries act like that. So there are two categories of developers who are understanding, everyone understands the TDD, and when you explain them, they are convinced. To not be convinced, it's to lie to yourself. Okay, every people.
Some people say, sorry to interrupt, Michael. Some people say TDD sometimes is like teenage sex. When everybody's talking about it, nobody's doing it.
Exactly. It's a good example. A very good example. So my goal is to teach TDD like you do, yeah, I imagine, in the right way, in a way that improve productivity, but not productivity, but that earn money. Managers want to talk about money. They don't want to understand everything. When you say we have to do clean code, okay, why clean? I don't want clean. Dirty, it is working, okay, go. But dirty, you have to spend more money. If they understand that, okay, go for craftsman, but prove me. And today, a lot of people just speak, but can't prove, because they lack a lot of experience. How do I understand? How do I learn TDD? In 2011, I watched every videos of Uncle Bob. Okay, he introduced TDD with a lot of humor and personas, etc. Very, very good. And I leave my company that hired me, and I started to build a startup alone for 3 years. I learned Scala, functional programming, and I learned TDD. I learned SecureOS. I learned I don't know if I coded, but I'm reading books. And after that, I started coding the first letter of code. Okay, I like to learn all the theoretical baggage, and after that, I am pretty sure that I don't miss any main concept, and I can. That's the way I learn things. And I experimented TDD, front, backend, 4 servers, distributed language, Neo4j graph database. How do you manage to? And I really think today, if a developer wants to perform, to improve themselves, they have to start a project, a personal project. A personal project, you don't have managers, you don't have deadlines, you have books, Stack Overflow, Slack, and fingers to code. And it's better than a kata, because you have to code an advanced project that you can sell. If it is good, you can sell. So it is motivating every day. That's how I performed about TDD. And I know a lot of people don't have this opportunity. It is right, okay, yeah, no worries. But I want to share them my knowledge. And in the French community on LinkedIn, for example, people know associates Michaël and TDD. When they understand Michaël, the first letter say TDD is TDD guy that say that if you don't practice TDD, you are not professional.
You're Mr. TDD or Monsieur TDD.
In French, people know the term like this. Yes, but there are a lot of other people, but it's very people are very curious, because they think it is like a mythology. Okay, it doesn't work in companies. They think it's just theoretical, and it's good to know, to practice, but don't practice it in a professional company. So I want to prove them that they are completely wrong, and to start TDD. And the years after years, I was fighting with a lot of developers, a lot of managers, because I didn't understand why they can't trigger an eureka in their mind. I don't understand. Okay, I proved. I was pretty aware that the definition of concept is totally different between one people, one dev, one manager. We can't discuss about concept if we don't vision the concept the same. So, for example, I was used to debate about TDD hours, years with some people, but people say, okay, TDD is like writing integration tests. TDD is like QA. QA people do TDD. QA people do TDD. They are testers. So it reminds me an anecdote that I was in bank companies in 2019, so fresh. And the recruiter told me, okay, you are practicing TDD, but do you code? Are you coding? Because you are testing, okay, but are you coding? Are you programming? I love, but people are not educated about the concept. Like BDD, for example, behavior-driven development. People think it is test. It's wrong. No, it is not test. It's a consequence. You can have executable specification if you want. But BDD is not computer. It's about discussing, about challenging the needs. Business people tell you, developers, I want a chat to make my colleague to speak. But a good developer say, what do you need a chat? Are you thinking that it is a solution to a real problem you have? And when you understand that the needs of business people is in fact a solution they sought to a problem they don't tell you, you understand that you will not produce a good product, because it is the bancal solution. So, for example, with the chat, you can say, okay, why do you need the chat? Oh, because when Cecile works with Bruno, if Bruno is not there, Cecile can't work. Why? Because everything in his work is dependent of the task of Bruno. Okay, so the real problem is what? Is that you have to improve the task themselves to be independent of the others, to have parallel work. It is a real business. It is a real challenge. And a lot of developers, I noticed today, don't want to challenge that. So don't want they don't want to execute. What do you want? Okay, a chat. Okay, let's do a chat. When you have that mind, it is very difficult to have to be habit by the need of satisfying customer. And if you don't have, right,
just to summarize, if I understand you correctly, what you described is typical order takers, or what we call caterer. So somebody comes to you and says, Michaël, I need this, this, and that. You just, okay, sure, I'm going to deliver that. Versus what we call opportunity seeking team, or I call them nutritionists. So they come and say, okay, look, this is good for you. You think this is good for you, but actually it's harming you. But how about you try this? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, it is about the fact that a developer don't have to admit what business people think. They have to aid, to help, to challenge, to help people to know the real need they want. Because
don't just take orders. Yeah.
Yes. Why I am saying that? Because in TDD there is a concept of Yagni and Kiss. Okay, why do we have this concept? Because we don't admit that what we will anticipate have the need to exist tomorrow, because we are challenging the needs. If you challenge the needs and you have the answers, and you have the business people acting that, oh, what are you saying? I was not view the product like that. Oh, it starts me rethinking the project, etc. You don't want to do things that are risked to disappear tomorrow. So TDD is a minimalist thinking to have feedbacks, and it's posed completely agility, to have feedbacks to challenge every day the business stakeholders. And it is what you want. Play with the app. It is what you want. Okay. So okay. TDD, no, we don't have a real implementation. We have a fake. Okay, but tell me, it is what you want. Okay, tomorrow we will start the real implementation. And I really think that agility works completely in phase with TDD mindset, because we are doing. I like the sentence of October. Why do we test? He says, because we want to refactor. Why do we want to refactor? Because we want to integrate a feature that was not in your mind yesterday, and you have to fit the new mind of the stakeholders. It is agility. You have to pivot. You have to make the code flexible enough to suppose the everyday thinking of business people. So if you don't have TDD, a lot of developers start thinking the global solution. They're writing UML diagram and they think, okay, we have the solution. Okay, go writing. But this mindset doesn't work. Because the needs evolve every day. And if your apps are not taking into account that fact, you will build a project very rigid, and so rigid that you can change and you can make compliance to the new needs. And I really like TDD for that. And with the notion of behavior, of testing behavior. And testing behavior is a fact to document the application, to show to people what the application really do. It's not Jira. I'm not really a fan of Jira, because everything you are putting in Jira is stale tomorrow. Nobody will update what it is in sprint 2 if you are in sprint 5 and you change one thing that was in sprint 2. I don't know any business people that will open Jira and will update that.
Yeah,
so I really,
Jira, it's work about work. And it's not real work.
It's not real work. Yes,
it is real.
Yes.
It's real work.
It's real work. Completely agree.
That's the difference. But sometimes people, in my experience, feel more safe spending a lot of time on work about work because it's justified. And if you mess up work about work, the consequences are not so serious as if you mess up real. Right? So, okay, you made a mistake in your Jira ticket. Okay, nobody's going to get fired, right? And
yes.
That's why some people gravitate more. Okay, I'm staying in the work about work. I know I'm going to mess up, but yeah, not a big deal. Sorry to interrupt.
But you touch the big issue of craftsmanship. What is the big issue of craftsmanship? It's not to learn things. I really think people are smart and can practice and learn if they want to invest time. The big issues is that companies don't want good products. They don't want good products. I knew managers that told me, if we don't have bugs, we can't charge the customer more. So our cycle will be broken. So when I learned that, I leave my company. I left my company because I don't want to understand that, but it's a reality. Every people that I'm teaching in the TDD session told me that issue. I want to, but they don't want me to have a good quality. They don't want to satisfy customer. It's a reality.
And another reality, sorry to interrupt, is you're right what you're saying, but also a lot of companies are flush with money. They have a lot of money. And they don't see much point in spending extra money on technical excellence where things money's coming. And so your argument coming in saying, I think technical excellence, like, yeah, fine, but what's the difference? They don't, the big boss is like, there's no difference, so it doesn't matter. And they let the teams continue with their habit or comfort zone and don't rock the boat. Okay, everybody's doing whatever they're doing. It's half-baked or it's not up to, but
yes.
It's fine. If you're a small company, either you get bought or you sink, and then the big companies are too big to fail and the money keeps coming in. And so our profession suffers because we don't have enough clout to say, look, we gotta improve the quality. That's the problem. I agree with you.
Big companies start thinking that craftsmanship costs extra money. It's completely the reverse. And it's like in poker. in Texas Hold'em, for example. When you don't play with your money, you throw any card. Okay, you have a 2-7. It's not a good pair, but okay, let's try. Okay, let's bluff, let's lie. When it is your money, you start thinking, okay, I can't do that anymore. Okay, if I have no 2 kings, I go to bed. I don't want. And when you have managers that are just simple employee in companies that have orders about higher managers that tell them, okay, I want the product tomorrow. Okay, but the team told me it's taking 3 months, but tomorrow, I want it tomorrow. Developers, if they are not if they have not the personality of rebellion, they admit it, they do it, it's finishing, etc., etc. So it's a cycle that never finished. I told people, if you want to practice good programmation, don't invest time in those companies. Choose startups that deal with their money. Choose passionate people that want to change the world with a product, and avoid companies that don't live for with programming. A lot of companies have the programming IT department. It is not crucial to their development. Even nowadays, okay, they have alternative solutions. The turnover they had, it's about a completely other department. So IT departments, they just want to apply a kind of agility and deliver, just to impress people. And it's like in finance, when you in the finance world, you buy some payoff, for example, and you sell it to another people and sell it over, but it is just not concrete things. You buy, you sell, you buy, you sell, you buy, you sell. So it is the same thing in programming world. I noticed people completely invent needs just to have the opportunity to have the budget of building a software, to have the cycle, and to invent even key users. Okay, go. You are the key user of my project. Okay, go with the project owner. Okay, go start the project. It's really fake, and I don't want to work at TDD. Can't work and practices about craftsmanship. Developers would be so naive to evolve in such a company. There are a lot of better words to express them, to learn, to practice what they read.
Yeah.
Okay, it's very frustrating.
Michaël, I touch upon a very I'm sensitive about that subject, because if you look at other branches of engineering or craft,
yes,
we as a society, we have created a system where if you are doing a shoddy job, you will be found out and punished. Not in software. You and I can create a startup, terrible app, doing all kinds of damage. Nothing. Maybe we lose reputation. You have to shut down, but then you just start another one. And as a society, we don't have those mechanisms or the building code or some to respond to the negative consequences or outcomes of your product. And therefore, there's no pressure on businesses to like, why should I, you get away with murder. You can get away with murder. And I think we need to somehow find a way to say, look, same as when you're building bridges and cars, and there has to be some standard that if your product is not delivering that, then you get fines, penalty, go to the court or something, right? Or we revoke your business license to operate. But in software, Wild West, you and I can do anything, right? Doesn't matter.
Completely. They are talking. They was talking about a product in the police world, and Scribe, name Scribe, and more than 11 million euros spent on that project, and they trashed it, never worked, trashed it, and they want to start with another company. But company, they touch agencies that don't have any concept of building and architecturing a good product. So the cycle never finished. They are frustrating. Why do they act like that? In the beginning, they were good. Why? Accidental complexity, etc., etc. And people are not very aware nowadays about what is real programming. Okay, they think programming is about coding, and coding is about numbers. When you are they compare to house building, and I really like what Alan Oleb said on Twitter. Computer programming is not about is not the same like it's not the same as house building, because in house building you are not very creative. You build a house, you know how to paint, you know how to put walls, you know how to do. In software, any house is not the same as the other. You have to rethink everything. Just a need, a particular need of the business people, change the whole code. And and I really think the main issue is that that programming is like it is done one day. The product, it is done one day. You have the project phase, okay, and after that the maintenance phase, okay, with junior developers, okay. No, a project never dies. If your project dies, it's because nobody wants it. So as long as you have customers, you have to have the best developers on the project, because any project evolves every day. Facebook every day, Netflix every day, Amazon every day. Okay, they don't stop and say, okay, now we can test, now we can refactor, now we can do, no, every day. And they are just,
even if you say, look, no more changes, the
yes,
digital rot, which means today your product is working when have no intention of changing it. You have to touch it because something else changed that it depends on. Right?
yes,
You have to go in and make a change, even if you don't want to. And right there, if it's not built properly, then you make a change and you break it. And right.
Yes. So that's why we have to think the project to be very flexible, very decoupled, because anytime you have to touch it, you will have to touch it. You will have to update the dependencies. You will have to rethink it. You will have to solve the deprecated GitHubs, for example.
Hackers come up with a new trick.
Yes, for example.
Go back and defend.
Yes.
It never sleeps. Yes. The Rust never sleeps, right?
It never sleeps. That's why when I heard people that, okay, test after we will do a sprint after. Let's start doing what. There are a lot of emergencies, but people can't understand that there is always emergency. Anytime you have emergency, until the death of the project. So I really like the sentence of Okobob that says, later equals never. Okay, so when I read some LinkedIn posts this morning about a senior developer, very senior developer, that says, if you want to refactor your code, you have to gather people in a meeting, you have to talk about, and you have to seriously compare and see if you have compromise to do. Or I know I want to rename a variable. I don't want to gather people. I don't want to tell my colleagues that I'm doing refactor. It's my job. It is his job. Okay, so I want a solution to make the refactoring safe. And until today, I don't know any discipline that is far more efficient than TDD.
Yeah,
but you see, because you are right.
Yes. On the topic of refactoring, I encounter a lot of teams and situations because I'm leading a lot of teams where they say the manager, if you go, first of all, why do you go and tell the manager doing refactor? That's another problem. But once you disclose that, like now we're doing refactoring, they're like, what is that? Well, we are changing the code. They view that as rework. And they say, look, I already paid you to do this. It's working. I'm not going to pay you again to do the same thing. So the concept is broken. The communication is broken. They figure, why would you rework something that's already working?
Yes.
And that's where it breaks. So like you say, nobody should even know. This should be part of how you do your coding. It's just how you do it. You don't go to the manager and say, excuse me, I'm thinking about this if statement. I'll put if statement there. Is okay. No, I don't. It's not his business to tell you if you put if, or if you want to do polymorphism or you use switch case. Okay. That's your tools, your work, and refactoring is how you do your job. Why would you ask somebody for permission to do your job?
A lot of developers complain about, I told to the manager if I can refactor, he tells me no. Why do you tell it? Why? I don't tell it. When you are in the restaurant, do you say to the cooker, please, which knife are you using?
Yeah.
I want to know really. No, just not this knife. I want this knife.
Yeah.
No, he's doing his job. Okay, you are the customer. You have to trust the teams.
And same thing when I ask people, like, do you ever go to your manager and ask it for permission to debug? I've never seen anyone do that, because that's how you do your work. Nobody,
exactly.
No, excuse me, sir, can I, this afternoon, I want to debug that. Is that okay? Nobody asked that. Have you ever seen anyone do that? I haven't.
No.
And
because they begin to be
right. In the same way, why would you ask for permission to write a test? But that's because a good excuse. You see, but that is not coding. But that's a good excuse. Yeah,
completely. A very good excuse. And they really think test is not part of programming. It's a bonus. It is other things. It is testing is adopting. Okay, they are saying.
But you know, even Canback said you're not paid to write tests. You're paid to write.
I was shocking. I was shocking. I really regret that work, because he don't imagine the impact that has to do with all the haters of TDD when they read that. A lot of, the inventor of TDD, say you are not paid to write tests. It discredit completely the TDD for haters.
Yeah.
And I really don't like that.
But I still use it, because I want teams to not go overboard and spend days writing tests. Because sometimes you go from one extreme, not writing any tests. Now you see some people spend like days writing tests, and they use that minimal thinking, like you were talking about, minimalistic thinking.
Yes, and it's very it's a pity.
Can we quickly go back? I just want to go back just to the fundamentals of TDD and just give you a little bit of a anecdote from my side, and I'm interested in your opinion. So when I was young, when I first heard about TDD, and there was a guy who wanted to introduce, who I hired, wanted to introduce into the team, and he was telling us about it. I'll be honest, I thought that's very stupid. I didn't get it. And I remember, I thought, like, this is the stupidest thing. Because why? Because I thought, to me, TDD sounded like coding twice. Like, I didn't get the concept. And so I said, well, okay, we are spending time writing code, and now you're telling us we spend time writing tests. It's the same thing. Why do it twice? And the reason is that I did not, at that point, I was not experienced. I did not understand that the writing software consists of two parallel activities. One is focusing on behavior, another one focusing on structure. If you're doing it at the same time, it is very challenging. You're keeping two things in your head at the same time. You're juggling those balls. Your code is going to be half-baked, because I'm worried about how the system will behave that I'm changing, and I'm also worried about the structure. That's a recipe for losing. What the beauty of that later I realized, the beauty of TDD is you separate those. Here, you're just focusing on behavior, and you're keeping things simple. Like you say, micro tests, simplistic behavior, easy peasy. easy to read. There's no logic. There is no like big, factory and all these things.
Really?
And then now your expectation is here encoded very simply. Now, TDD, we fake it till we make it. Now we are reiterating on improving the structure until we feel the structure is abstract enough and it talks in business terms, and there is no primitive values, there is no integers and strings and arrays and Boolean. Now you know you're done, right? That's the beauty of TDD, that it gives you a chance to completely separate concerns. Now you deliver much higher quality. That's my interpretation.
Yes, it looks like the accounting world. Content.
Yeah.
Content. There are two columns: credit, debit.
Yes.
Okay. Why? Double times. The senior accountant will tell you it's the way I know that I made a good work. If the value corresponds, all my columns are okay. All the values are okay. If my columns don't correspond, I know I have a shit in some in cell. So it is admitted in other jobs like accountant, a lot of things.
Double entry.
Why not in software programming? Okay.
But you see, I was stupid enough not to recognize it at first, and therefore I can empathize with others who don't get it, because I was in the same boat.
Yes.
I'm not surprised when somebody says, "Oh, this is very stupid," because I was there and I know how I felt, and I was stupid. And to me, it took a while. Some people get it right away. They're very smart, but I didn't.
They have to experience the discipline to be aware of the powerful of the discipline.
Now, another topic I wanna. Oh, sorry, I interrupted you.
No problem.
That's
why. Yeah, I listen to you. Yes.
I just want to quickly, because you mentioned that already. What I'm finding sometimes people are a bit not clear is, what do we mean by behavior? Because we are saying, look, think about expected behavior, because we don't have tests, we don't have expectations for the structure. We cannot formalize. I cannot build a test that expects structure and verifies it. Yeah, this is a good structure. That test does not exist in my vocabulary, but I have tests that expect behavior. And then when I say that, people say, yeah, but what do you mean behavior? And they don't really understand what is meant by the behavior. So if you have any words to maybe throw in and clarify, what do we mean when we say a test for the expected behavior, not for the structure?
Okay, the behavior is it's observing the system and the final state. For example, and the structure, I will explain the structure with an example that comes in my mind. Okay, in a house, okay, your friend wants you to play football. Okay, so they want you to go down, to go out the house and take the and call another friend, okay? And call another friend. So you have the behavior. You know that he achieved his task when there are the two people playing football in the field. But the structure can be different. The structure is, okay, he can, to call his friend, he can take his phone and call him. Okay, please go to the field, and he can yell, "Hey, come to the field, come down." Okay, so this part of alternatives are what we call implementation details, because they are defining a structure that do not that are participating to the same behavior. The behavior is to gather people on the field. Okay, so if you have those people, you know that your program have the cleverness to gather people. How do you achieve that? It's not it's not the business of a test, of a unit test. The unit test should be lazy enough to not focus on implementation details. If you have in a test, oh, I want to mock the way you are calling the people. I want to mock if you yell or if you call with a phone. Maybe it's very important to the business, okay? It will be a different path. So it's not implementation details. But when it is not important to the business, it is a way the developers choose an algorithm among others. It is known as implementation details. And the test should let refactor the implement details, switching between calling a phone to yelling, etc., without changing the behavior. At the end, you want 3 people on the field playing football.
So that's great and really good example. Thank you. I think the follow-up question that I get is, how do we verify that indeed there are 3 people as desired outcome? So once you say that this is the finite state of the system, something happened in between, we don't care, just one way or another, okay. Now, how does my test indeed confirm that yes, there are 3 people on the field? I think that's where sometimes people are not clear, because when you say behavior, people think like IoT, like I push this button and the garage door opens. That's a behavior you can see with your eyes. But inside the memory of the system with a micro test, you don't see anything, right? So the test must be self-evaluating and be able to tell you that either the thing behaves according to expectation or doesn't, but sometimes people are not clear. So how do I verify, right? And that's what something, to you and me, it's clear, but sometimes to novices, they're like, I don't get this. What do you mean behavior? You know what I'm saying? Like it's...
Behavior is what is the thing that changed after the test that was not present before the test. For example, before the test, we don't have 3 people on the field. The people, empty people, okay, no people. Okay, so the behavior of the system is to gather. There is always a verb, okay, to gather people, to book a reservation, it is the behavior, okay, it is the value, okay, the value of the product, okay, it is the use case. I really like to talk about use case. What do you want to do? Okay, so the what do you want to do is linked to the way you want to architecture things to verify what you want to do. Sometimes a lot of developers say, okay, so I'm sure that there are people. If you choose your architecture to observe the field, okay, with a field repository, for example, okay, because your architecture says, okay, the way I will verify my behavior is to check the repository. No, it's to check that an event has come, and those events should should inform about those people, etc. So you have to think globally before TDD, know what are your direction, what you want to, what is the flow of your behavior, the structure you want to observe, and TDD is act locally, how to express the needs when you know what to test, what objects in your code will reveal you the state of the behavior, the final
really,
end. Yes.
And what you described, and that really makes you think hard whenever you're writing a routine that returns void.
Yes.
Because if the routine is not returning any value, now you have a little bit of a moment when you're thinking, okay, so now how do I verify that indeed something happened or didn't happen?
There are a lot of funnel. There are repositories, there are web notifications, there are about side effects on a mutating object, for example, if you want to make mutations. People should be aware of the flow of the program, of the architecture of the program, to know what to test. Because it's difficult to know what to test.
One thing that always raises eyebrows and that stops a lot of people dead in their tracks is when I mentioned Kent Beck's saying where he said, if you have designed your system where the sequence of operations matters, the system is not designed properly. And that's what really people are like, okay, this blows my mind. But I agree with him. I think the sequence of operations shouldn't matter. You should be able to have fully tested system and not depend on, okay, first this runs, then that runs, then, right?
Yes. No, it's very, very interesting topic. I like to talk about.
I just want to ask you, in one of your proposed topics for the conference, you said, what is TPP and how it allows you to never get stuck? Can you maybe quickly explain what you mean by that, TPP?
Okay, in TDD you have rules. Okay, you have rules. You don't. You can't write what you want. It's a discipline that wants that. You can't write what you want, because if you want a minimalism, the goal of TDD, if people practice a good TDD, if the cycle red green refactor, you can spend anytime you want. Red green, it's less than 1 minute in an average. Okay, it's very speed. Not speed in execution, speed in writing, speed in solving the problem, to pass the test. Okay, so TPP is there to help you to have a guideline of what minimal changement, minimal evolution on the code you can.
What does TPP stand for as an acronym?
Transformation priority premise.
Gotcha.
Transformation priority premise. Okay.
It's from the primitives. Is from the primitives to more abstract.
Yes. Okay. Transformation priority premise. You start with hard-coded we start with nullity. It's a hard coding value, then variable, then multiplicity like array, then one statement, then you add statement, then you add conditional, then you add loops. Why loops? Because loops is multiple conditionals, and you evolve the project to never go far the music. I wanted it to let control and suggest you to find the algorithm. Uncle Bob has a very good video about getting stuck in TDD. He said, if you don't follow the TPP, you can, it's not obligatory, you can be stuck in the third test, for example. And it's a very, very, very bad news. For example, if you start with the exercise was that you have a sentence, you have to remove any N letter, the N letter, unless there is a E after the N. If the first people start with a test and says in the code, replace all N with empty, how will it be when it was a second test that involved the E? Okay, but any N, it's stupid. Any N will be removed. So you have to and replace all. What is it? Replace is a loop. In the transformation priority premise orders, it is in the end. So Uncle Bob warns you about, don't choose it. Start with the first transformations. For example, a good way, there is a good way would be, okay, remove it, okay, substring of the sentence, not replace all, just remove the first letter, okay? And if the sentence is N, just N, okay, remove the first letter, okay, but nobody. So when there is a second test with the E, okay, you can say, okay, if there is a E after, don't remove, else remove the first letter. And it allows you to progress without being stuck. I experience that every day. I'm doing it every day in my project. I'm following this practice, and it's a very, very good practice.
Oh yeah, and you hinted upon one of the, I think, most important topics, which is immediacy of feedback.
Yes.
The problem with we're using code as text, and text is very passive. I go in and make a change in text, and nothing happens. And if I'm not careful, I could be spending hours making changes, and only maybe at the end of the day I try to run, and I realize, oh, it's all. So we need to strive to get this feedback as soon as possible. And this approach, TPPs, it's very well explained, not to get stuck. And also, you're another topic, and I don't want to keep you too long, but something interesting that you said is how to choose the next text.
The next text should be.
I know you have only 5 minutes, but maybe we can do it later. We don't have to push it.
No, I can answer this latter question. The most difficult thing about TDD is to know how to choose the order of tests, how to choose the test, what to test, okay? Have to choose the right transitions. And I really think the second test, the next test should be a test that breaks the program, that breaks the test, okay? That shows a red flag, because only the red flag allows you to write code. Yeah. If you have a green flag, it's in most of the time, not every time, but most of the times, you don't choose the right tests to write, because it's redundant with anything. It don't bring something new to the program, some new behavior to instruct the computer to express. So I want to start to find the minimal improvements, the minimal education. I want to say that minimal education to the computer to learn something new, to evolve. It's like a GPS, TDD like a GPS device. The GPS device don't tell you, okay, I want you turn 3 times. No, not turn 3 times. Turn
one at a time.
To the left, turn to the left, turn to the right, turn to the right. He guides you. Okay, so the next test should not be put yourself in a situation where you are completely not guided, not driven. Okay, so I have red flag. I have to write about 10 lines of code. I don't know what to write. A lot of things. A good second text, a good next text is a test that focuses on only one thing. Okay, it expresses one thing. If you build a bowling game, okay, now we talk about strike, not spare and strike, just strike.
Yeah,
spare was before, and one not, and you have to find the minimal. I don't like the term TDD. I wanted to term MDD, minimal driven development, minimalism driven development. It's like it is that you have to think
micro
about.
test, right?
Yeah, micro test, yeah, completely. Yeah. Completely micro test. You have to learn like a child to the computer to evolve step by step. So it's because the less time you are spending in the red flag, the less you have dead code, potential dead code, the less you have paranoiac code, defensive code, useless defensive code, wrong code, bugs, etc., etc. So write the minimal of code to learn something new to the computer, to teach something new to the computer. So a good test is a test that will evolve the system with the most minimal thing you can do to express.
I like to teach the zombies formula. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Zombies, yes.
It's a good guiding principle to start with 0, go with 1, and slowly, step by step.
It looks like a transformation priority premise when he said start with unit, and then multiplicity, like arrays, list, etc. Start with a variable. There is this notion. There is this notion of evolving with simple thing, but to finish, just to the questions, people are doing a wrong TDD when they cut the programs, when they split the problems. I never split the problem. I simplify the problem. TDD is just about data. You differ the test about data. If you choose simple data, then you will write a minimal code to pass data. So when I observe people doing TDD and they say, okay, I have to do that. Okay, let's focus just on this sub part of this of the exercise. No, I want to all the part, but with a simplification of data, I will focus on one thing.
So, for example, slice.
vertical slice. For
not
example, yes.
horizontal.
For example, if I just the last sentence, if you want, if you want to book an Uber, okay,
Yeah.
Uber, okay,
Yeah.
you book an Uber, and the exercise is about if you go outside of America, it's about $30. If you enter America, it's about $15, and if you stay in America, enter America, okay, it's free. Which test will you choose first?
Free.
Okay, people. Okay, I will focus on entity Uber to emerge the entity. No, I will focus on only the payments. No. Start the whole global problem with a creativity and choose. Okay, I will choose intra-America. Why? Because there are no charge.
Yeah.
There is no charge. It's less. Okay, so you can bring the reservation with a charge, no payments.
Yeah.
Next, you involve the payments, etc. It's yes.
Yeah, that's
it's like
really good.
So, okay.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Michaël.
Thank you very much, Alex, and it was a very good moment.
Great that we can. I'm hoping we can continue later when you have time. We have a lot of other topics to cover, and then hopefully see you in person if we go to the conference.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Evening.
Bye.